I'm with Matt Osman and Brett Anderson from Suede. Welcome. How's life?
Very nice.
Good, very good.
Gents, thank you very much
Lovely
for
to be
joining.
here.
Hey, thanks for coming and thanks for kicking off
Thanks
our
for
week
having us.
here at Maida
You
Vale. We're very excited to have you. So, new record, ready to go. Bloodsport's coming out next month. How are you feeling about it?
Kind of a mixture of nervous and excited, It's
Okay.
that kind of like sort of odd feeling that we don't quite know how we feel about it. Yeah, I think we're very proud of the record. It took a long time to make it, and we really love it. But
It's so strange coming back because you have no idea whether kind of anyone's listening. We were just saying that before the Royal Albert Hall gig. I mean, I had sleepless nights imagining that perhaps no one would come.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You just don't know.
Yeah.
It might just be the kind of the five of us and our mums.
It's an interesting point as well because, Brett, I heard you say to Sean, the quote, I wrote it down actually, you said that you kind of, in a way, when you're doing a record like this, you're competing with your past. And I thought that was an interesting idea. Were you aware of that while you were making this album?
It's very studious of you to write down the quote.
I
Yeah, I like it. Yeah,
I'm
it's
quite,
good.
I like to apply myself.
Sorry, what was the question?
Well, were you aware of that when you were making it?
Did I what?
Were you aware of that when you were making the record?
Yeah, I mean, we're always very, very conscious of sort of like of not just putting a record out just for the sake of it. It's kind of it was a very hard record to make because of that, really. And coming back after 10 years, a lot of it was learning how to sort of write together again and getting on the same wavelength. So we did write a lot of songs that we didn't end up using. But it's just part of the process, It's almost, we treated it like we were a new band almost. That was our kind of mindset, that we weren't just a band that had been together for 20 odd years. We were a band, like a new band, and we needed to have the same sort of quality control.
But you were working with Ed Buller, who you worked with a lot in the early days, right?
Yeah. I mean, he was amazing on this record. I mean, for me, there was no other choice about who should make it. I didn't really care about getting some current sort of hip name in or anything like that. It was all about getting Ed in because we've made our best records with Ed, and he's sort of made his name with us as well, and he really, really cares about the band. It's almost like a family. He kind of like he's like the kind of dad, isn't he? Though?
He is.
It's sort of like
And he's known us long enough that he can be incredibly rude in a way that I don't think anyone else could.
Yeah. Well, that is family
literally,
thing. Yes.
You'll come in with something and kind of like, all right, we've got this new track.
And he goes,
You'll
it's
play it.
awful Blob. He calls everyone Blob. It's awful Blob.
For
I hate
hours,
it.
he'll be sending you emails like a week later. What was that track you sent me? That was so bad. It's like being beaten up, isn't it? But
Yeah, it's fairly horrible. But it's that filter that you need. And he's the kind of love that he puts into making Suede records. You can't buy. So there's no choice for me.
we did buy it though. That's the point. He's quite cheap.
It's
in
a
fact.
turn of phrase.
But he understands the band, and I was going to ask about that because it is, as you say, it's 20 years since the debut album came out.
Yeah.
Does that give you a different perspective on what the band is? Because obviously in the early days you're still becoming it. You're still kind of working it out record by record, and then you make a record and people say, oh, you're part of this scene, and then the next record you're slightly kicking against that, and then you're kind of finding your way. What's it like to get to the point where a body of work exists and a history exists? Do you kind of have a better understanding of what makes the band special?
I think so. I think now, I think that there's a danger of becoming too self-conscious, where you just sort of like you're so kind of sort of enshrouded by this sort of weight of your past that you can't really move. It's kind of claustrophobic, and you've got to be a bit more instinctive and break free of that. But the whole process of what we did a couple of years ago, we re-released a load of the records, and the whole process of getting back together again and doing greatest hits tours, I found it really interesting because you can kind of like really see what you did well and what you didn't do so well with real accurate, objective perspective. And that's the first time that I was able to really objectively kind of assess what we'd done in the past, I think. And that really helped us move forward with this record. It made us sort of think, well, okay, what do we do well? We do this kind of thing well. We don't do that sort of thing well. Why don't we just do the stuff we do well? It's easy, really. But we sometimes have overcomplicated it in the past.
Well, but that's music, isn't it? That happens.
Yeah.
I mean, last time I spoke to you about the record, I think we talked about the idea that it's a passionate album. Can you tell me a bit about the title and a bit about the subject matter that we can expect?
Yeah, it's called Bloodsports, and it's kind of I suppose it's a sort of a comment on the kind of carnal, sort of endless battle of relationships, I suppose, really. And it was originally conceived as a concept album. That sounds really horrible, but it was like an idea that the first song was about meeting someone, and the second song was about infatuation, and so on, and all through a relationship, and you touched upon suspicion and codependency and obsession, all these things, until finally you come to the end point of the relationship. And it was almost like that was supposed to be the album. And then it didn't turn out as structured as that in the end, but it's still, every song kind of deals with a different sort of emotion sort of thing.
Okay.
That was the idea of it anyway. That was the concept. That was something to hang it all on.
Yeah.
You know, and it's and I think you need to deviate from that concept, but I quite like having kind of a strong idea so that the record has a kind of a consistency.
Absolutely. And it's coming out next month. We know that there's
Yeah.
going to be a date at London's Alexandra Palace. What about after that? How far ahead are you looking now? Are you booking?
We don't really look very far ahead anymore. We've kind of given up on that. In 6 months' time you'll be playing Peru, and then you're in the studio again. Because I think we got to a point last time round where it became a bit kind of every day, which is a ridiculous thing to happen. We're trying to be, it's that football thing, take each game at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So at the moment we've got nothing booked apart from nothing. in
Ali
fact.
Pali.
Yeah, that's just
Ali
it.
Pali.
This
that's
and,
it.
and
That's it.
also today.
Yeah. If
Today.
anyone wants to invite us along to play somewhere, we're fine. We're free.
Oh, okay. I'm sure that there will be a
We're not
flurry
free.
of festival.
Let me rephrase that.
When you say free
Yeah.
in the calendar
We're
sense.
expensive and free.
So tell me about the set today, because I think there's going to be 7 tracks, right?
Yeah.
How tricky was it to put together?
Well, we thought we'd play a mixture of kind of completely new stuff and very old stuff, So
Sounds
it's
good.
a bit like being a bride, something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue.
Something blue.
It's something blue, baby.
Family show, bear that in
yeah,
mind.
so no, I mean, there's a couple of. We're playing 3 songs from in fact, 4 songs from the new album that have never been played live before. Is that right?
Yeah.
Or at
I
least
think
at
so.
least a few. Lots of new stuff that's never been played, like live debuts sort of thing. So
Okay.
there you go. It's an exclusive.
Well, we are delighted and
Radio-
grateful and
radio
excited.
People love exclusives.
We so do,
You know,
and we
It's
love
your lifeblood.
we love you guys. So thanks for
Right.
coming in, and I will see you shortly in MV3. Can't wait.
Lovely. Excellent.
Suede
Thanks, Lauren.
on BBC 6 Music. Thank you very much, guys.